very much like, she was very caring, and she kind of showed that in the way she like raised me and my brother. We were homeschooled, so like she was already gonna be a stay-at-home mom, and so she just decided to school us like all like up until we graduated. She was always like very health conscious about things, and she would like make sure what we were eating was always really healthy. And I was just like looking for out for us, like mind, body, spirit, basically.
My mom is like one of the better friends, I would say, in my life because she's so easy to talk to. I love calling her, texting her, because she likes to talk to me about anything. Doesn't matter if it's school, work, um, social events, like anything. She's just really happy for me, whatever I do, and yeah, she's always there to brighten my day and keep me on track on everything I need to do.
My mom was a hardworking woman who raised 6 kids. She had like 2 jobs by her choice. She was very stubborn, very strict, but she was a good mom for the most part.
My dad, he's just a goofy guy. I'm not gonna lie. He's definitely more of the jokester type. Like, I would say my mom keeps me more on track about like my school, my academics, and my career. And my dad's just the guy I can talk to about sports, anything going on in my life outside of like the serious stuff. He's the man to talk about that with.
So in about spring 2019 is when she was diagnosed with melanoma, and so she only had it in her eye. So first action was surgery. So they removed the tumor that was in her eye, and they also had to remove her eye, and so she kind of had to like go through a healing process of like adjusting without an eye. And so she was cancer free for like a year and a half, and then she started to have like really bad back pain, and it just got worse and worse. And so then when she went to doctor again and got like an MRI, they found tumors along her spine, and so that was the main cause. The next thing they did was there was one like big tumor on her spine that was like pinching a nerve and stuff, and so they did spinal surgery to remove that, and I think they had to like refuse a vertebrae, and then but she still had cancer like in other parts of her body and like also just like different organs. So after she was healed from that and started to basically like learn to walk again, she did a round of radiation for a week, and then about a month after that she did immunotherapy, and then a few months later she did another round of immunotherapy, and that was like all the treatment she had. She went to the hospital because she was having trouble breathing. And so when she got there, this was October 16th, I believe. Yeah. And so they admitted her into the hospital, and they ran a bunch of tests, and she wasn't able to like get food down. And so they installed a feeding tube in her stomach. Um, but then after they installed it, they realized they won't be able to use it because the other organs were so inflamed that her stomach just like couldn't be filled up. Um, and so that was kind of like the last thing of like, okay, if she can't get nutrients, and what do we do now? And so then the next day, we transferred her to hospice nearby. Um, and by this point, she was very drugged up, and so mainly just unconscious and sleeping. So she was in hospice for around 24 hours, and then she passed in her sleep.
My mom was first diagnosed between fourth and fifth grade, around that area. I don't remember the exact day or anything, but I want to say start of fifth grade, and then so I was about 10, 11 ish, and then that was kind of early in the school year, so summer, August, and then that next February, that was when my dad was diagnosed. My mom was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and my dad was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. I remember we were at Universal on a family trip, and when she got the call about what stage it would be, and um, she let everybody know that it was only stage 2. We were so happy, and um, we had like a big family hug in the middle of Universal. Um, and then um, my dad got diagnosed after that. So it was definitely a shock to have two parents with cancer, not just one, because even one, it definitely takes a toll on a childhood. Um, but my mom went through chemo first, um, lost all the hair, everything, lost eyebrows, eyelashes, um, around throughout fifth grade and sixth grade, and then um, my dad didn't need to do really any treatment. Mostly it was just surgery. After that, mom gone through radiation, was declared in remission around my between sixth and seventh grade. So the summer before my freshman year of high school, um, my mom wanted to do a family beach day. And I remember I really wanted to go fishing with my friends because we were going all that summer. It was a beach we'd never been to before, so I was kind of confused while we were there. And so we started having an old beach day. And um, then when we were getting ready to pack up and everything, um, she let us know that we were having a family meeting on the beach. And she started to get teary eyed. And my dad also started to kind of get emotional. And she said that the cancer had come back, and that was spread to her bones, lungs, and lymph nodes, and that it was a stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. Um, and she let us know that the numbers online didn't look good, and for us to not look at them because statistics are just statistics, and it's a case by case basis, obviously, with every patient. But she kind of just let us know like that's the diagnosis going forward, and that we're gonna stick together as a family. And afterward, we decided to go to a nearby seafood place for some dinner. And as the curious 15-year-old I was, I looked up all the numbers online, and the stat that really stuck out to me during that time period, especially, was that 22% of patients made it past 5 years. And so the one thing I kept thinking about was my high school graduation and if she's going to be there.
I believe it was around when I was in seventh grade, so I would say around like I think it was 2017, maybe around that time. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. First, it started off kind of simple, whereas like I didn't really know much about it. I was like telling my friends were freaking out, and I was like, oh, okay. um I say it was kind of like it was like the calm before the storm. Like it was very like just going to doctor's appointments, kind of figuring out what's going on. And then it started from getting chemo treatments, and she was getting sicker, and then obviously getting her breasts taken off. So it was just like slowly more and more was happening to her. And it was just more of, you kind of noticed it more body wise than her actual attitude. It was constant from all the way from when I was in seventh grade to my junior year of high school. She was constantly battling cancer. She was never in remission. She was constantly doing different types of chemo. It was the day that she was in the hospital. She was in the hospital on and off for quite a couple months um, before she died. She It was actually the day of my conference of swim. I was on the swim team, and it was my conference day. And I went to the hospital just to go check on her. And she was just being kept alive by ventilators because it was something with like her heart. Like the cancer had gone through like her lymphatic system. She was just in so much pain. Um, and just like nobody expected to be told that like, oh, she's gonna die tonight. And I was like, oh, that's great. And when she actually did, it was just like, it felt like unreal, I guess. And then it was just, people try to like comfort you, but it's just kind of awkward. Like nobody knows what you've gone through. And it's just like you're surrounded by people who don't understand how you feel. And it just sucks because most people want to feel pity on you, but it's just like you want to be left alone. So it kind of sucked because it was like you had to continue on with your life, but you still had to keep everything together. So I feel like it affected all of us pretty differently. I mean, for me, like I was one who kind of was like my parents relied on me a lot, specifically my mom, because the more sicker she got, the harder it was for her to like to go out, to even get dressed sometimes to help take care of my siblings because my dad worked from home and so he was kind of there to help a lot, but when she died, it was affected everyone differently because it was where I had to take on more of that role of being the support for my dad and for my family. Um, Whereas like my younger siblings, it was just like they lost their mom. I mean, they were just they really struggled with it for a while, more of their behavior wise. But for I feel like the older siblings, it was more of like we had to actually act. My whole life changed. I felt like I had to be more in charge and had to be more I had to be the main role for my siblings. Um which I get called the mother a lot. Most people call me like the mother of the family, which I hate, but I just had to I had to grow up faster than I wanted to.
What are like the moments of your life, hopefully it all happen, that you're like your most you most wish your mom could be there for?
When I get married, probably. I always watch like the Mamma Mia show, and it makes me so sad when they have that scene where she's like singing to her and brushing her hair. It makes me so sad knowing that I will never have my mom there. So kind of sucks, but mostly when I get married, I feel like the biggest moments in that life were my prom, high school graduation, college graduation, and when I get married. So those are definitely when I'm gonna miss her the most because I know that my mom will never be there at my wedding and to dress me up and pull my hair like crazy trying to get me ready in the morning. So that's probably what sucks the worst is knowing that my mom will not be there, but it's okay. It sucks, but it's reality. So
I know a lot of people think about when you like have to like suppress emotions, when they finally do come out, it like makes it worse in a way. And so I feel like I was suppressing like everything that I was feeling, and so it just made me like super anxious, but also just um kind of like in fight or flight sort of thing. And the being in denial just kind of made it just worse. And also around the time that she passed, I had already had trouble sleeping, but I had it worse. Like falling asleep was like really hard.
I mean, I feel like I finally kind of slowly come to peace with it. But like it definitely was a struggle after she passed because it was like graduating high school. I didn't have my mom to graduate high school. Um, when I had my first actual boyfriend, my mom wasn't there. I went to prom, my mom wasn't there. So it definitely was a battle, from high school to college, because it's I think my mom was one of my biggest inspirations just to show that I can do this, I can get through this.
I think definitely I got more mature, kind of having to not live on my own at all. I mean, they were a great support system. I think my thought process was the less I am kind of a burden to them and a responsibility to them, that's more time they could focus on their diagnosis and their treatment. And I just didn't want to get in the way of anything. I think it definitely wasn't great for my mental health during high school and then going away for college. Um, just thinking about, you know, we've heard the stories of people who look fine and then in 3 weeks' time they pass away to the cancer, and they could be full of energy and um, look normal, really, and then within a matter of weeks it could just switch within an instant. So um, I was kind of always on edge about that, and so I think being that nervous and having that looming over my head definitely led to some mental health issues.
When she was first diagnosed, I was in high school. Um, it didn't really affect my schooling then. Um, when she got it again, I was in college and I was taking just like online classes. And so it definitely like made it a lot harder to get my work done because a lot of it was just kind of like do as you can sort of work, like not a whole lot of like strict like due dates that are due like every few days, more just like, oh, this is due in a little bit. And so it was very hard to be motivated and not procrastinate on everything, especially just like being home alone. It's like, oh, I don't want to do school if I'm just like sitting here.
I mean, I am BRCA positive, so I do have to be very like cautious. But it's just like the more that I get older, I just have to be like extremely more cautious. My mom wasn't an unhealthy person at all. She actually like ate pretty healthy, healthier than my dad. So it's more just like genetics, I guess. Like it doesn't matter how healthy one person can be. Like my mom is a great example. People always say like, "Oh, she's so young to have cancer," but it's just it literally is in the blood. I could get cancer was more of the fact where it's like, "Oh, if I get cancer, I have to sit through all this pain like my mom did."
What do you think helped you most during this time in your
I would say my friends. Like, although it sucks to be like pitied and like you don't really want to talk about it, my friends like after the literally the day after my mom passed away, it was the weekend of like my like swim conference, and on Monday I went straight to school because I was like I still have to show up to school, so which my dad did give me the option not to go, but I was like, you know what, my mom wouldn't want me to sit around, so so I went to school the next day. My friends like they didn't really say anything. They just kind of like just sat there at the table and just gave me a hug. And I would feel like my friends like really helped me through a lot because they understood the boundaries and they understood like what was going on. I feel like they were like one of my biggest like supporters throughout. And my dad too. He helped a lot. You would think someone who just lost their wife would be in shambles, but he helped out a lot. So
Our town was so tight knit, and um, the relationships you have with people were so personal that we had people um, that would cook us home cooked meals and leave it in our mailbox um, because they knew that my mom was going through the chemo and didn't, maybe didn't feel her greatest.
Definitely therapy. I started going to therapy 4 or 5 months after my mom passed because I didn't really have many people to talk about it with. Like it was mainly like my dad or my boyfriend that I could talk to, but I didn't want to talk with someone that was also dealing with grief, and I didn't want to talk with someone that knew nothing about like my grief, like didn't really have much experience. And so I started to see a therapist, and I was actually able to like start processing like not just like her death, but also like all the treatments and just what life was like before she passed.
I feel like Camp Cassim was a huge support for me. It was like very beneficial. At first, I literally did not want to go. I hated it. I hated it so much. I was like, I do not need this. But like out of all the things, I feel like Cassim helped a lot. Not just me, but also like my siblings as well. Um, I didn't really want to go to a therapist. It's like nobody wants to just sit there and specifically talk about your mother dying or being dead. And I feel like Cassim kind of understood like like you had your moment to talk about it, but it was like also you're able to be a kid, and I feel like it really helped me mentally kind of just feel like I could breathe. Kasim is a year-round support. It's a summer camp, but it's a year-round support for families or kids who've been impacted by cancer. um, I found it through Moffitt when we went to like an event. They talked to us about it, but it's completely free, which also helped my parents because having 6 kids and sending them to a summer camp is a lot of money. We went to day camp and that was not as much, but um, Cassim would come. Sometimes they would come to like some of our sports, or they would send us birthday cards and stuff like that. So it was like they were able to be there for kids who their parents were one parent or the other parent was like suffering. Cassim was like this that silent support almost. So
If you could say anything, what would you tell a kid currently facing parental cancer? Um, I would say like you don't have to shy away from it. You don't have to um, act like it's not there. It's gonna like hurt that you have to like face it and look at it, but just being there with your person, whoever's going through it, is really good. And even if something you're feeling or thinking on the inside feels or sounds really bad, you should still get it out and talk with someone.
I would tell them that everything's all right. Everything's gonna be all right. Um, Even if maybe the diagnoses or treatments don't go your way, um, everything's gonna be fine because as long as you have a great support system and you have people in your life that you could talk to about it, no one is gonna shame you or um, kind of belittle you for going through this experience. And if anything, I've gotten so much encouragement and um, kind of courage from others, and especially with Kesem. I mean, that was just a great addition to my life.
I would say like make sure you have time to really process and grieve. Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to take a break. Because I never got to. And I feel like with like kids around the age that like my mom passed away, it was like I was in the middle of applying for colleges and getting my grades back together, and it was just like you didn't have time to actually grieve. And for my age, it was just like you had no choice but to continue going. And I feel like a lot of kids, even though there is a lot of support out there, people don't realize that's like nobody wants to be vulnerable. But I like kids should know that it's okay to be vulnerable even at that age. So it's probably it.
Hi, Catherine. Hi,